Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family, we chose this one. This is episode 107, Freebie and the Bean from 1974. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
And I'm Joe too. And this episode is brought to you by Ford. If you think all new cars are the same, take a look at the new Fords. The closer you look, the better they look. Shout out Ford.
Shout out Ford indeed. Well, welcome to Freebie and the Bean. We have a big week planned next week. We have a You Are My Lifespan, and we have a The Getaway, which we've announced before. But we are talking about Freebie and the Bean today after the break. But first, Joe, extracurricular activities. I hope you have a less eventful extracurricular activities today than you did on Tuesday, but please let me know.
Yes. I'm home, back in Connecticut. Today I went and got some x-rays on my toe. I have a fracture in 2 places.
Super cool.
Super cool. It's not painful or anything, and they just said like tape it and wrap it together. I have to like go see like the same foot guy that I had to go see when I fucked up my foot at the pizza shop. Do you remember this? Yeah. Who, by the way, I told you this, right? His name is Tom Brady.
I forgot that, but I think I do remember that at one point.
Yeah, and it's gonna take so much in me to not be like, I thought you were in Tampa. What are you doing here? You know what I mean? Like all these kind of. I'm not gonna make Tom Brady jokes at him. I'm sure he's heard it enough.
Of course.
Living here. No, we drove home pretty uneventful. You know what though? I didn't mention it last time, and I was like listening to the intro of the last one. One cool extracurricular activity thing is because Rachel and I knew we were driving home, and Pittsburgh to Connecticut's like about an 8-hour drive. We've developed this thing like when we go on like these long road trips, we like to listen to book on tape because Rachel likes to sleep in the car, but if we put on book on tape, she'll stay awake and listen to the thing, and I hate driving if she's sleeping because I start getting tired, and then it's really hard for me to like do the road trip. Before we left, she was like, "You know what I want to listen to? How about we listen to The Shining?" You know, I've seen the movie, but I don't think never all the way through. Like I know all the highlights of The Shining, right? Like all of like here's Johnny and like all of these things, but like I don't think I had seen it like straight through in one sitting. And so we were listening to the book on tape of The Shining. And by the way, have you ever like read the book or listened to it? Okay, the book is fucking awesome.
Well, you know that Stephen King hates the movie and like remade The Shining in 1997, like because he thought that Stanley Kubrick like bastardized his book.
No,
like he's furious at Stanley Kubrick. Yeah.
The Stanley Kubrick movie is very good, but it's very Stanley Kubrick. It's not so much the story of The Shining. It's a related story, but he took a lot of liberties with it.
Right. Well, yeah.
We probably got like 95% through the book between going there and back. And then when we came home last night, we watched The Shining like the whole way through. And we were like, the whole premise is like completely different. If you watch the movie after you read or listened to the book, it's a completely different story. Like he's conveying the story in a completely different way. Like the whole feeling is different. I like the book and I like the movie, but the book is excellent. So
now you have 2 follow-up homework assignments. I'm gonna channel my inner Brian High School Summer Party Rodriguez. There is a documentary called Room 237.
I know, I've seen this. It was on something forever. It was like, I don't know, somewhere it was like linked forever. Go ahead.
So I don't know if it's good or not. It's interesting. So it's like 5 crazy conspiracy theories about The Shining. And so it's like, because there's a theory that like Stanley Kubrick filmed the moon landing, right? Like, you know, that one that like people think that we didn't land on the moon, that Stanley Kubrick in a studio somewhere filmed that and directed that or whatever.
I didn't know it was Kubrick that did it, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, he didn't do it. I mean, we actually went to the moon. But yes. So from what I remember, I've only seen it once, but from what I remember, it's just 5, it's kind of like the OJ thing that we talk about, 30 for 30, where it's not like talking heads, it's just like voiceover. It's not like, it's terrible example, it's not like that. But there's no talking heads, it's just like video footage of The Shining, people talking over it. One person's talking about how like, well look, like Danny is wearing a NASA sweater there, and the way that like this lines up, it's like, oh, this is all clearly, some of it's kind of interesting, some of it's kind of silly, some of it's just like, you guys need to get a different hobby, like this is just crazy. But there's like 5 different, I don't remember what they all are, but there's like 5 different conspiracy theories. While it's all fresh in your brain, if you want to throw it on, I think it's interesting.
Cool.
I also don't remember if it's in the dock or not. But there's also, which I've been hoping someone would like bootleg and put online. They have shown in theaters, like I think maybe a Fantastic Fest one year they showed, if you play The Shining front to back and back to front laid on top of each other, it's structured in a way that like scenes kind of interact with the mirror. Like it looks normal, but you're putting every frame kind of in reverse, right? So like in the middle, it's like exactly as the middle, then it goes opposite.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
like
You
there's
start
some
beginning
like
to end and end to beginning, and you run them
yes.
overlapped.
Yes.
Wow.
And I think that might be in the doc, but there's like a crazy like this works if you want to see it. So I haven't been able to see it, but from what I've heard, I think it's in that doc.
Dude, there has to be a version of this online. This has to be like Dark Side of the Rainbow. Weren't we just talking about Dark Side of the Rainbow at some point too? Yes, in this later in this fucking podcast.
Which we have what we talked about, sort of, the breaking of time continuum. Justin Kleinman wrote in about that, so we're gonna have
No,
this.
really?
Yep.
What the fuck? Okay, cool. Well,
So
Justin's
there's
on the
actually
same
there's also
wavelength as us.
so there's two different cuts of The Shining too. There's like the international cut and then there's the regular cut. And I don't remember the difference, but they're like kind of wildly big differences, and I don't remember what they are.
I
I
don't
think the
remember
American
either.
cut is better. I don't remember, but I don't know. So that's homework assignment number 1 is Room 237. And then Doctor Sleep, which came out last year, is a sequel to The Shining.
This is what Rachel said. Yes.
And so the book, which I own but I have not read, is apparently not very good. And I went to see the movie just because I see everything in theaters, and I had very low expectations. I was like, oh, this is actually great. Like, this is not just good, this is a great movie.
Dude, I'm gonna watch both of these things because I'm like in this kind of mode now. Like now that we listen to the book, watch the movie, I'm down. These are
Yeah.
good recommendations. I'm actually probably gonna do one of these tonight. So
Yeah, Ewan McGregor is great. Rebecca Ferguson is great. There's a director's cut of Doctor Sleep, which is like 3 hours long. So do that on the weekend or something when you have more time. But yeah, watch Room 237 because that's chronologically first, and then Doctor Sleep. But yeah, they're both worth, especially now that you're in like the Shining mindset, right? Like
yes,
do both of those.
I got a shine in me.
Anything else of note that you have done since we recorded on Sunday?
The other like two like minute things, but just because we always talk about it, is that as we were driving back and forth to Pittsburgh, I stopped at two of my favorite regional fast food chains. We hit White Castle on the way there, and we hit Long John Silver's on the way back.
Wait, is White Castle not in New Haven?
No, it stops in
Oh.
Jersey, dude. Yeah, we actually hit one in Jersey.
Yeah, that's one where like since I grew up with it, I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. It's just always around. Like I don't think it's special.
Exactly. It's not in Pittsburgh. It's not in Connecticut. It's only in like Jersey, like through kind of there, and then in like Michigan, I guess.
What have I done? I mean, we've not really had a ton of time because we recorded Sunday evening as opposed to the afternoon, so there's like
Yep.
less time in between. I rewatched Cloud Atlas for Hanks of the Memories. So I
Oh.
was complaining on this podcast in the last week sometime about the Tom Hanks 9/11 movie, which I absolutely hated.
Yeah.
That podcast is out today. As this episode comes out, that episode comes out. So if
Okay.
you want to hear me and Mike dunk on this movie for 20 minutes, literally just 20 minutes, go check that out. But next week, it's just me and Mike again because we're like, because today's movie nobody wanted to watch. Cloud Atlas we didn't want anybody to watch because we both were like, this is kind of like why we're sort of doing Tom Hanks, and like this is both
Makes
our
sense,
favorite
yeah.
Tom Hanks movie, and like we just want to go for it. And so like we gush for like 80 minutes about it. So it was a lot of fun. We recorded that last night. I watched it on Monday. Also, the other thing is that I've been trying to read more lately because I was on a good pace. Like the end of last year, beginning of this year, I was on a good pace for reading.
were.
I was going to continue reading like during baseball. Like I like reading during baseball games. Then, if you haven't heard, baseball isn't happening. At least not yet. It's still maybe
It's
this
supposed
year.
to be end of July, yeah.
But now today, like as we're recording today, there is news that the NHL is running into hurdles
Oh, yeah.
and the NBA is running into hurdles, and I
Yep.
still don't think we're actually going to have baseball, but we'll
I
see.
don't.
I read, so basically before the year began, I think late last summer, I asked my friend Bob, who I've talked about, who's a host of Tub Talk, because he reads a ton. He's the one who got me back into reading. I was like, can you pick me any number of books that you think I'm going to read, but my goal for the year is to read 10,000 pages. So it's like just some
Okay.
kind of mix match, because it's like 30 pages ish a day. So I was like,
Yeah.
whatever you want, just like come up with a list of 10,000 pages. So we came up with a list of books. There's 31 books on there, and I read a few at the beginning of the year, and then I stopped, but now I'm back at it. And I read a book. It's only like 97 pages. I actually just finished it before we
Ooh,
recorded.
a novella.
It's not even a novella, really. It's called Literally Show Me a Healthy Person. It's not a collection of tweets, but it's like it's like the aesthetic of a collection of tweets.
Okay.
Again, I'm not going to describe it in a way that sounds appealing, but it's this very funny but also very sad sort of look at like just a girl in New York who can't get her shit together. But like I
Ugh.
think it's kind of comedic but also hyper realistic. But like, it made me laugh on almost every page. Like
Good.
every three
That's
or four
good.
pages, I was like, kind of like, oh god, this is super. This got super dark. But yeah, the book is great. So it's kind of hard to find because in a weird, kind of funny, kind of cool thing that Bob and I have talked about. Kendall Jenner was seen reading this book, and so then just because she had the
Oh.
book, it was sold out on Amazon. Like just every
Oh.
girl who loves Kendall Jenner's like, I don't know this book, isn't need this book. And it's happened a few times. Like Kendall apparently has really good taste in books, and like she, whether it's her or that she has like a handler or whatever, but like she's been seen reading on multiple occasions, like 3 or 4 times at least, like really good, cool, new alt indie lit books. And so she had this one, and like it just blew up
The Kendall Jenner
because Kendall
effect.
Jenner and like the millions of people who follow her or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like this tiny little, basically collection of tweets essentially, and I loved it. It's great. So
That's
I don't
really
know if
cool.
anybody reads anymore other than me and Bob, mostly just Bob. But if you are,
I do on
literally show me a
planes.
healthy person.
I do on planes, but that's about it.
But that's it. That's all I've been doing. I
Nice.
watched Cloud Atlas. I talked about Cloud Atlas, and I read a book. So
You're becoming a better person as we talk.
I'm trying. I'm trying. We have a Patreon page here on the show, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleinman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party,
Ooh.
Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, and Jerry Robinson. Thank you all so very
Thank you
much.
guys very, 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 very much.
I do want to put out there, I have not heard
What?
from anybody, so I'm assuming it didn't radically change. Patreon on July 1st, I prefaced this last month that they started charging tax, and I think I set it up so that, like, because most of what people are quote unquote paying for are not actually physical goods, they're just like shout outs and movie picks and whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, they shouldn't be taxed. So, if you
Oh, yeah,
support
you
us on
did say this.
Patreon,
That's right. I forgot. Yeah.
please let me know like if the tax is I don't know how to define it like crazy like it shouldn't be a lot. It should just be like a $10. I think it probably should just be I don't think it should be like 6 or 7% like whatever your state is. I think it should be way less than that. I think it's like a ratio of the things, and I think I set it up where it's like basically nothing. So please let me know, email us or just Facebook me or whatever. Just let me know what that's like because I think I set up. I don't know how to set it up better, but I'm just curious how that shook out because now we are officially into July. It's happening
Yeah.
or whatever, right? So
Exactly.
also as a reminder, vote in the Fast and Furious, the Too Fast, Too Forever Hall of Fame.
Hall
Voting
of
closes
Fame.
next weekend. So you have another week or so. I messaged you, this is when you were traveling yesterday. We got like from an email address that I don't know, not somebody who's emailed in, somebody who I've never corresponded with. I don't know who this person is, but they filled out the form. So thank you, mysterious stranger. I don't know if you listened to the podcast
Oh,
or
that's
not,
right.
but because
Yeah,
it's we're only asking for email address just to make just to. Cause I'm curious who it is, and like out of the 34 responses we have now, like I probably know 30 of them. There's a couple that I don't know, but like the one we got yesterday, I was just like, oh, I don't know who that is, but
yeah, and
cool.
it's not like eat my dick at eatmydick.com where
No, it's
like
like
you
an
know it's
actual. Yeah,
me.
no, it's not you and your friends doing it exactly.
Yeah.
But yes.
It's funny. I didn't tell them to do that. Me, Matt, Zach, like
No, it's all
every.
of them, and it's my entire fantasy baseball thread. Like it's the same thing. It's just like dick jokes and just like it's the same. Like they're different iterations on the same kind of theme. Though, just like you asshole. Just like I just want to know who this is,
I know.
but it's fine.
It's a wonderful. I love it.
We also have an email address here on the show, family@cageclub.me, Joe, and we have 4 emails.
Ooh, nice.
So first email up from Wes Hampton, subject line, lap 6, recap, relap, what up fam?
What up, Wes? How are you doing, buddy?
Says it's hard to believe another lap is almost over, yet at the same time I feel like it's been the longest lap in the history of the show, because there are so many more episodes and so much has happened in my life and in the world in general.
Truth.
I really enjoyed this one, and I agree the classic car lap was the perfect one to suddenly double up on. Here are my notes from the
Okay.
past few episodes. It's definitely the longest in quantity. As new movies come out, right, and as we do Nas boosts and whatever, and as things happen, I mean, next lap's going to be even longer, so just, get ready.
True. Very true. Good point.
First off, I have to applaud Nick for watching along with you on all the movies and having the restraint to hold off on listening until he's caught up. I really want to see everything you've covered, and a lot of them were already on my watch list, but I haven't been able to find the time. We watched a few, as you know, but
Yeah.
eventually I'll check everything off the list.
I think we had a really good lap. Like it was curated really well between all of us and everybody that picked. I think that it was great. I was happy with it. I can't even think of one that I was like that was bad, right?
Some behind the scenes is that like when we were talking about we were trying to figure out if we're going to keep doing 2 a week or 1 a week, and you had I think the rightful I think concern that like we didn't want to do 40 episodes for like a theme that like we didn't really like, and so that's why we sort of doing like
Exactly.
we're doubling
Yes.
up. Like number one, I don't think there are 40 Michelle Rodriguez movies, but number two, if we were only doing that, like if there were, there's going to be some stinkers in there because like even actors that we love that we do entire podcasts about,
Oh
there
yeah.
are just duds that we have to cover.
Oh, for
And
sure.
so you and I had like conversations about like, well, what could we do? How could we assure this and whatever? And that's when we sort of have the idea to like kind of double up ish on themes, and so like
Yeah.
that's why it's not just Letty, it's Letty and memory loss, right? Because it's
Mm-hmm.
thematically linked or whatever.
Yep.
Next lap could have been not that the Paul Walker lap was bad, but it was definitely like there were some spotty things in there, and this could have been. But like looking ahead at what we have planned, I'm excited. There's stuff in here that like could be terrible. I have no idea, but I'm pretty optimistic. There's some stuff in there that some of our patrons picked that are kind of like I can't wait to make you watch this, but you know,
It's always fun though. It's
yes,
always good-hearted,
yeah.
and I mean, like, hey man, like pick whatever you want. Like we do this for you guys anyway, so it
Yes.
doesn't matter.
The TLDR is that I'm looking forward to next lap. What could have been maybe not great is I think gonna be pretty good. So yeah.
I do, yeah. I'm excited for it too, and like because we've done Zack Attacker, because we did Boyfriend Material, and because we did Magic Mike's, I like how freeing this is in the sense that we watch like a ton of different shit, focusing on like one character. Like if we were gonna go do just like a straight Michelle Rodriguez lap and have to do that many movies, I'd be like, oh man, like I don't feel like doing that. But if we cut in memory loss stuff, it's gonna be a lot more fun, I
Yep.
think.
And we have basically I don't know the exact count, but it's a pretty even split. I think there's probably a few more memory loss just because like I
There's
said
more
she
of
hasn't
them.
been in a ton, and like the six or whatever of these movies that she's in we're already covering, and like there's
Yep.
certain movies of hers that like I'm like, oh, we're not gonna do that. Like
Amen.
Justin talked about Lower Wacker Drive being in Batman Begins, and maybe it was and I forgot, but I think the iconic scene that most people remember it from is the Joker chase in The Dark Knight. Before they make it back to the surface level and Batman launches his bat cycle, they're racing through the underground portion of Wacker Drive. I've only been to Chicago once as an adult, and I actually
Mm,
drove through it before coming into then leaving the city. It was pretty cool, but I also had GPS guiding me. I think
yeah.
yeah, there's definitely the thing where like there's the like Joker has the rocket launcher, right? He's got like the laughter is the best medicine in that like pickup truck or the
Yeah.
semi
Yeah.
truck,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then like he has the S, so like slaughter is the best medicine. But yeah, I think that's in the underground thing too.
I haven't
So
seen The Dark Knight in a while. Actually, I just watched The Dark Knight Rises.
yeah, we watched them all. What did we do? I guess it was 2 years ago, maybe. When did we do Christopher Nolan for Cinemakers? That must have been 2 years ago. 3 years ago, maybe? I have no idea. Garrett was a great guest. I liked his idea about the Legwa sequels, as he called them. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
where the series has to go, and I think they tested that idea out a little bit with Spy Racers, even though that was aimed at a very different audience.
Agreed. 100%.
Then, as far as his discussion of the viewing order, I know where he's coming from. I almost always argue for release order for the exact reasons he said. They were created based on the knowledge of the previous entries. I think it's a fun experiment to do chronologically, but release order is almost always better. However, I will say that Mrs. West and I debated this with Fast and Furious for much longer than we should have, and we determined that watching 3 between 6 and 7 is generally more enjoyable, even for first time viewers.
I
I think
agree.
that stems from the fact that it wasn't written as a prequel originally or even a connected movie, so they're not making a ton of references to other movies or characters. The
Mm-hmm.
bonus is that you're more attached to Han after 5 and 6, his motivations are cast in a different light, and there are only a couple references in the other movies that may fall flat. That's how we decide in the chronological order for our marathon if we ever have to get to it.
I know. I can't wait. I hope that we all get to do that one day, my friends.
I will say on this note that Nico messaged me. He's like, so we listened to our episode. I was like, he's like, but, like before I even respond, he's like, but, we skipped to our segment. We just listened to that part. I was like, okay,
Okay,
good.
cool.
Because we spoil everything almost in every, not on purpose, but like everything is almost spoiled in every episode.
Exactly.
And I was like, just so you know, and I don't know if our listeners know. I don't know. I'm imagining they're all just listening to the full episode, but like, this is mostly for people who are like, they really talk about Fast and Furious 6 for 3 hours. It's like, well, not really. It's like for 2 hours. But like in the description for every episode, at the end, it just says movie conversation starts at, and then a timestamp. And so I put in there
Yeah.
when it is. I've been doing that for the last like 20 or 30 episodes. So I was like, Nico, just so you know, in the future, you can just tap on that and it'll bring you right to that part in the episode. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Because like I want to make sure, like, because, again, Kara had the thing spoiled last time.
Yep.
If we can do anything, I feel like based on just how they were describing things, I feel like they might know, maybe, but like as best as we can, I want to preserve the secret if we can.
Agreed. Yep. We'll try. I mean, these movies have been out there for like over a decade now, so you're
Right.
gonna know some of the stuff that happens.
Wes says, I'm glad everyone's watching Hamilton and enjoying it. It's been a huge topic of discussion for Mrs. Wes. She's been on this train since the early days.
Mm-hmm.
She was a theater kid growing up and even did some local theater here after we were married.
Oh,
We're
that's
somehow friends
cool.
almost exclusively with teachers, including several theater teachers, so Lin Manuel was already a known quantity. She's
Ah,
been listening to the album for years and mostly just cries through it. Sounds like my sister.
yeah,
But we've never
Rachel
been able to
too.
see it in person, so we were excited that they announced it's coming to Disney Plus. She wanted a party, but no one in our country could get their shit together. COVID's still a thing, so they had to go out of town anyway. We watched it the night it was released, but it wasn't a great experience because we were watching it with people who were talking and on their phones and distracted. But when we got home, our friends we always do movie and TV nights with came over and we watched it again, and it was great. They hadn't heard any of the music, they just knew the hype around it, and they loved it.
I knew all of the big songs, right? Like I knew like all of the like really big ones. That's what I presented to Rachel, and then Rachel obviously found the soundtrack and listened to like all the songs. So she'd be like, "These are like the really good deep cuts or whatever," right? But like I didn't know any of the like the songs that aren't the big ones.
I'd only listened to I think most of the first disc, and my sister was like, "Why did you stop?" I was like, well, "I really couldn't like visualize it." And like it's a hunt. Like if you listen to it, like you're not missing anything, right? Because it's the entire show. Like there's no part
Yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
show that's like talking that's not on the double disc. Because like
Not song,
the
yeah.
soundtrack is like the 3 hours long or whatever, right? The 240 or 250 or whatever. So just because I'm not as familiar with like live theater, I was like, I can't see. I want to see what's going on. And
I like the
I was like,
bangers. Like there's some bangers on that soundtrack. So like those are the ones that I always listen to.
I had heard that King George was like he stole the show, but like I never really was. I wasn't ready for it until I saw it. And then
Yeah,
Jonathan Groff is amazing in there,
he
and
is. He's
like
great.
David Diggs who plays Lafayette in the first act, and then he
Uh huh.
plays Jefferson in the second act, and he's also in Blind Spotting, which is a fucking incredible movie. He's really funny. Like there's so much funny in that, and like you can
Mhm.
hear, but like in what I had heard, it felt like the kind of like the jokes were like Peggy's the Skylar sister who can't get her shit together, or whatever. So it's like, it's funny, but like it's not,
Yeah.
But then like to see the way that they all move, like just King George especially, I was just like, that's killing it.
Yep.
We're now a Hamilton podcast. I'm sure that there are millions of Hamilton podcasts.
Yeah. Somebody's doing it way better than us, I'm sure.
One last quick story about Hamilton. Mrs. West always wanted to be able to rap along with a hip hop song. She loves hip hop, but didn't grow up listening to it, so she isn't comfortable with the rhythm and the flow. She figured Hamilton was her chance, so she learned a good portion of most of the songs and could follow it okay with the lyrics. But one night, she was talking about how Guns and Ships, or how fast Guns and Ships is, how she could never do it and she was jealous of her friends that could. That night, I went out to pick up some food while she was working on a cookie order, and I learned the whole thing basically in the time it took me to get from our house to a drive through and back. She was so mad that I did it just to tease her, but it's still the only song from the show that I know all the words to.
That is so funny. That's really really funny and cute. I like that. That's the cute relationship tormenting that I enjoy.
There was a great thread. Hold on, I gotta find the thread on Twitter. Doing a never-ending bit that your partner hates. There's nothing that would be funnier.
Yes.
There's nothing funnier than doing a never-ending bit that your partner hates.
You know what one of mine is that
What's that?
Rachel really gets annoyed with? Like she usually loads the dishwasher and I unload it. And every time that I unload the dishwasher, I just look at her and break out into this song called Reload and be like, "Now it's time to reload. This is real love." And I just sing that song to her and she gets really annoyed.
There was also, I think in this thread there was like the woman who sang "You Ought to Know" by Alanis to her husband for a month straight. Like every time there was like a quiet, she would just like scream it, like even in public. And he was like, "Don't." He's like she would must like she was filming all the time, so like you couldn't see what she was doing, but like he would just like she must have given him a look because he's like, "Don't do it, stop it, just stop it." The reason I sent it to Nico was that like there's one where this woman Brana probably says whenever my wife mentions being gay, I scream "You're gay" at her as though I learned it for the first time. So Nico was saying something. I was like, wait a minute, you're gay? And then he like cracked
That's
up. I'm like, I
awesome.
stole that joke.
That's really funny. I like that a lot. Like, huh? What?
I call my boyfriend Sport and Champ and Bud like a Midwestern dad because I'm 6 months older than him. He hates it. And then I squish his cheeks and say he's throwing a tantrum. And I swear to God, I can see his soul leave his body as he considers whether or not to dump me.
That's good. See, these are just like the gentlest things ever. I love those.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's a whole thing. So, yes, Sophia Benoit at one follower, no dad, okay, is, yeah, there's a lot of the really good ones. My wife keeps mostly gently, applying pressure to our infant son's head because she says he looks, quote, too human. Keeps talking about how heads needing the, quote, proud riches of a warrior. just the dumbest shit, and I love it. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know
that's
that
very
learning the
good.
lyrics to a rap song is the same thing, but it's in that
It
vein,
is.
and
It's in the
yeah.
same vein. I get it.
I also read today that I think Lin-Manuel annotated all the songs on Genius.
Oh,
So if you want to go
nice.
deeper with them, if you don't know Genius, genius.com is basically like now the only lyrics site you ever need to go to because it's
Yes.
correct lyrics. Also, like, can we talk for a second about how like lyric sites in the 2000s were like mostly just viruses?
Mostly just viruses, and they were just like copy pasta of like teen girl interpretations of lyrics.
And they would be wrong a lot of the time, but they'd
A
be
lot of
like
wrong,
you're saying
yeah.
copy pasta from like other sites that like they would all have the same. It's like no, this isn't
Yes.
right. But they're all like just it's all clickbait or whatever. But like Genius came
Yep.
around and Genius gives you the ability because it started as Rap Genius and they just became Genius. And now I think they're
Yep.
even beyond music. They do other things too.
Like speeches and stuff, I think, or
I
something
think so.
weird.
Yeah, that sounds right. But like whether you're just like you or me or like an artist can go in there and like annotate or
It's
like
a
explain
Wikipedia
lyrics. Yeah.
version of lyrics, and also what they did is they started to get hip hop artists to come on and like clarify their lyrics, and then
Yep.
that became part of the thing. Yeah.
And what's also nice is that like on the side, like in addition to like you can like read the lyrics and like there's like highlight you can click on it, but on the side there's like explaining what a song is about, and then they'll have like quotes from the band to back it up or whatever. Like I was
Hmm.
listening to Backdrifts by Radiohead, and I'm like I don't know what any Radiohead song is about because I don't know what the lyrics to any Radiohead song is about because like I can't understand what Tom York is singing, and yet they're still my favorite band.
Yep.
But I was like, what is this song about? And like, it's apparently they were on a bullet train in Japan. They were stuck in a snowdrift, and they were just watching that, and they just came up with the lyrics of the song, and then they wrote the song or whatever. But like, I would never get that without this. And
No.
like, there was like
Yep.
quotes about like from Tom and Johnny and Colin or whatever, just about like that experience. I was like, oh, that's awesome. But like, you wouldn't know. How would you know? But apparently, Lynn did that for Hamilton. So if you want to go to the next level,
That's
genius.
really cool. Very cool.
Wes says Joe or a listener, Joe, this is you in this case, mentioned
Hmm.
the Milton Hershey School. Mrs. Wes has a lot of family in that area, and her grandpa went to the Hershey School. Ooh.
Very cool.
Basically, his family was super poor in the Depression and couldn't
Hmm.
afford to care for all their kids, so he and his brothers got sent to the school. It's sad because they lost touch with a lot of family when it happened, but I always knew it as an orphanage. I didn't realize it was still operating today as more of a boarding school for the underprivileged.
Yeah, it's really really cool. I just love the whole story of it. It's like one of the it's just like a selfless type act, you know what I mean? That like
Mm-hmm.
that does exist, and it just that makes me feel warm inside. So that's very cool.
Wes says Joey's revealed to me that he knew Jeff Rosenstock and just made the connection to Back to the Island was very funny. When he messaged me, I could hear the wheels turning and things falling into place. I'll definitely let you know if and when they do their finale. Jeff is from New York and just moved to LA, so he still has strong ties there. If anyone's interested in the interim, they've shifted to a show about Batman movies called Bat to the Eye Man, naturally. They're watching them out of order and just did a Batman Forever as their first episode, which is, I guess, why not start with the worst one? Go for it.
Yeah, I like Batman Forever though. Don't talk
But
shit
like
on
it's
Batman.
that and Robin are the two. I mean, they're
They're
fine. They're
great.
fun.
They're great in a terrible way. I love them.
Nigo and Kevo are going to be a blast in the show, and I can't wait. But I just want them to know all of the things they describe that they want for the FNF movies. They're just basically describing the show Supernatural, which you know I'm also a big fan of. So they need to get on board with that.
I bet they probably watched it.
I'm going to send these, like the reviews are in quotes to them, and I'll see what they say. To answer Joe's question about Lost, I recently read up on this topic. J.J. Abrams pretty much just did the pitch and development with David Lindelof, wrote and directed the pilot, and was out almost immediately because he was still working on Alias: The Mission Impossible 3. Eventually, he came back and co-wrote the season 3 opener. Great episode, by the way. But that was the full amount of his involvement. I used to give Lindelof and Hughes a lot of flack for taking his concept and kind of mishandling it, but I've learned that Damon Lindelof is amazing, JJ wasn't really involved, and the network is to blame for most of the problems with the show.
Ah,
Either way, I still like Lost, Mrs. West likes Lost, and we both loved the ending and cried our little eyes out watching it.
I can't wait to watch it, and like I can't wait to get into it.
Wes sent us the link that I had already read, but there's a thing on Collider. I don't think I talked about it on here. Damon Lindelof and Carlton Hughes wanted to end the show after 3 years, and ABC was like, no, you don't just cancel a show that's popular. You keep it going for as long as, like, they're like, do you know how hard it is to make a show that people like? And they're like, yeah, we get it, but like this is like a mystery show. Like you
Yeah,
can't just run a mystery
exactly.
show forever. And they're
Yeah.
like, so we're thinking like another year. And ABC was like, cool, we're thinking 10 years. And then they're like, what? And they eventually, like between re-upping for a year and then the writer's strike and whatever, settling on 6 seasons, the later 3 being shorter, kind of sort of ish. ending in a place that they were happy with. They ideally wanted to do, but like the beginning of season 3, I think they were saying, is like not great just because they ran out of things. Like they just had to keep like building things as opposed to like answering things. So like they just
Yes.
kept the issue that a lot of people have is there's just so many mysteries that weren't answered because like they just didn't know when they were going to be able to end. And so like you have to keep building mystery.
Makes sense.
Wes says, all right, that's it for another spectacular, supersized email. I look forward to the next movies, the next chapter of YAML, and I especially look forward to the next lap. Until next time, stay furious.
Stay furious, Wes. Thank you, brother.
Next email from Jerry Robinson. Subject line, 4th of July weekend.
What up, Jerry? How are you doing, bud?
Hey guys, I'm literally in shock right now because of what happened. Joe, too, I am so sorry another problem happened to you, brother. I'm glad your dad is okay, and hope
Thank
they
you,
catch
man.
that bastard because that ain't right at all.
I think that the universe will correct what it has wronged, and hopefully they do catch him.
You have to keep us posted on that. I mean, you don't go into detail, but like, to let us know how that shakes out.
I mean, I talked to the detective today. I don't know if I mentioned it to you. There's like we had the reservations list and we were blocked out, so you couldn't have added a reservation. So it's like we have it narrowed down to like 40 people, and like 25 of them are women on the sheet.
You know what they say? Ladies love renting cars. If there's one thing I know about women, they love renting cars.
Like they're gonna figure out who this guy is pretty quickly. I think that I figured out who this guy was, but I'm not sure.
Jerry says, I've been in a similar scenario at a car rental place. Someone hit me. Oh boy.
What? So this is like a common thing? In 20 years my parents have had the store. Nobody ever swung on them.
He says, because I was cleaning a car and it took too long. He says, I wanted to make sure each car was clean. When he hit me, I lost my shit and went off on him because I had the right to retaliate. I didn't get in trouble or lose my job, and the guy got arrested.
Good. Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
Who swings on people at a rental car place? Jesus Christ.
Maybe it's the same guy. What if it was the same guy?
Oh God, that would be really yeah.
From coast to coast, just swinging on dudes. Speaking of alcohol slushies, there's a place in San Francisco I took Ileana called Burger Bar.
Ooh.
There's a burger bar. I bet it's the same. There's a burger bar in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I bet it's the same. It has to be, right? That sounds.
It's got to be because their whole like they have like 40 different Dogfish beers, and Dogfish is a California brewery, right?
I don't think so.
Dogfish Head is Delaware. Oh,
Yeah. It's not California.
why did I think? I don't know. Okay, let's see what he
Okay.
says. They have boozy milkshakes, which this place does too. They're huge and they're so good. He actually sends 2 pictures, so let's put this in here. Actually,
Oh, I want to see him. I
I'm
want
gonna
to
save
see
this
them.
one. Yeah, that looks similar. Yeah, I think it's the same place.
If it's in Vegas too, yeah, that would make sense. These
Since
look
they're
good. It's
huge and they're so
mudslide.
good. I recommend after the global bastard passes by, which I mean, this is one of the places that like when I'm in Vegas for CES, this is one of the places that I go every year. So I for
Do you
sure
know which
have
hotel
these.
it's in?
It's at Mandalay Place. It's not. There's like a shopping mall between Mandalay Bay and whatever maybe Luxor. And there's like a
Okay.
little connector that's like restaurants and shops and stuff. And one of them is Burger Bar.
I think Rachel might have taken me there, but I don't think I got
It's
a
like
burger.
it looks like it's in a shopping mall. It's on the top
Yeah.
floor. It's a thin, deep thing. There's a big bar on the left. There's tables and booths on the right that go all the way
Hold
back.
on, 1 second. Let me ask her. Rachel, did we go to Burger Bar in Vegas? She's never been there, so I have not been there.
It's great.
But I
They
felt
have
like we
great
went to this
burgers.
place.
They have great milkshakes. They have great beers on tap. I think they always have, or as often as they can. They always have like 120-minute IP, like the Dogfish. Like they
Yeah.
have serious, like they take their shit seriously there. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I like boozy milkshakes too.
despite all the drama you had, I hope the 3 of you guys, counting Rachel and you too, Joey, had a good 4th of July. I was chilling at home, barbecuing with my mom, and grilled hot links, shrimp kebabs, and chicken, and watched Jaws and Independence Day, 2 of my all-time favorites.
Those are great. And actually, unbeknownst to you, Joey always watches Jaws on 4th of July. And
Mm-hmm.
we were talking about these movies that have like an interrelated theme that kind of fits with a holiday.
Like what movies you watch every year.
Yes, for a certain
And not just
holiday.
because you're like people are like, oh, I watch The Godfather every year. It's like, yeah, but like you just watch it because it's a good movie. Like, but like a thing, yeah, like you're saying, like that ties into whatever.
Yeah, so normally, like on a regular 4th of July, because, I work in a lab and I have a lot of foreigners, usually everybody comes over to my house and we barbecue and we try to do it like as America as possible, right? And so like one of the things we do is we have like an America playlist, and it's like Team America, Jaws, Top Gun, Captain America, like all of these movies, and we like just play those on like a one playlist, and like while we barbecue and like play, we like teach them beer pong and stuff like that, and like we do all of these things together. But it's funny that he brought up that he watched Jaws because you watched Jaws on 4th of July too.
I was thinking about Independence Day, and I have so much that I want because especially that was the day also that I watched Hamilton. Like I just had so much I wanted to watch. But like if I just had nothing to watch, I would have watched Jaws. I would have watched Independence Day, and I would have watched maybe Top Gun, but more likely
Top Gun's
also
great.
Rocky Rocky IV. Like I saw Rocky
Oh
IV,
yeah,
the
Rocky
most
Four
American
too.
movie where we pound the shit out of Russia.
Yeah.
And like Apollo Creed in his USA trunks and his outfit.
Oh yeah.
But I watched that in theaters. I think on Fourth of July in Austin. They just had like it was like a great like people just cheering when he was like battling Drago. I just loved it. I loved it.
That's awesome.
Jerry says on Sunday I got a few mixed drinks that they bag you for in a Ziploc, and you pour all the contents in one from a corner store by my house.
Cuddy Banks?
I guess.
And he's in California. It's probably this. But like, there's like all of these like regional like mixed drink type things you could. I don't know. As you can tell, I like all of these like weird regional things, and like Cuddy Banks are like up there. They're really cool. So yeah, I'm assuming that's what he got. Tell me if you did.
We had a small pool party with Ileana at her house, just me and her. Music, booze, and barbecue. It was
Perfect.
absolutely perfect.
Perfect.
He says baseball's kind of back, but can't go in a stadium, which blows.
Yeah.
In Tokyo Drift, I agree with you, Joe, too, about the seventh. Me coming from a military family myself. God damn it. Dad served 28 years and retired in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on your side. But again,
Oh yeah.
I think
I know.
it's again, it's the obvious choice that the mom screwed up. That's a lazy thing to do. You got to fight for the underdog sometimes.
No, you really believed it for a while there.
Really quick about Kanye for president. I do not like it and found out that he can't really, since he hasn't submitted the right documents to be eligible to run. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be. I heard today he's running on the birthday party, which I think is probably just like a made up thing. It's like, I think he's basically running a write-in campaign, but again, fuck right off.
He's just being like that's the beauty of it. Like he's not being serious. I'm not gonna vote for Kanye, but I do love that idea that he's running, and that's amazing to me. So
They're making a new Nas energy drink called Nas Turbo. That's all I really have.
ooh,
Stay fast and never last. So here's the picture of Nas Turbo.
ooh, that
Pretty
one's
cool.
really cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. I like that the O is a turbo.
Yeah. And our last two emails are both from Justin Kleinman. First up, Next Lap.
What up, Justin? How are you doing, bud?
I'm excited for the next lap and Nico and Kevo's new takes. I especially would like to know what they think of the idea that Rico and Tego are a couple.
Oh, we have to pose that to them when we get to there. Hope we
Yeah,
remember.
I'm not saying that second half to them because I want to, or should I? I'll wait because they're not going to be around for a while.
Yeah. We got like what 4? They don't come until 4.
In Los Bandoleros,
True.
they're in the beginning of 4, but I think
Yeah.
they're really in earnest in 5.
Fair.
Speaking of them, I just rewatched Los Bandoleros with my friends. It's really good. It's such a different feel from the movies. I wish they had more of a grittier side to them. One interesting thing to look for when you rewatch it, Rico and Tego have different names in it. Yeah, Wes is written in they have like 3 different names. There's like Rico and Tego, and there's like Don Omar, and
They credit them in all kinds of weird different shit, but they definitely have different names in that. Yeah.
there's like Kara and Mirtha.
Yep.
The same character, different names. So, Joe, thanks for that debit card suggestion. I will check it out. My credit union debit card never had foreign transaction fees, so we always use that on our international trips, but they recently added it. So I knew it would be good for the day when we actually get to travel again.
Awesome. Yeah, we have to keep staying positive, brother. We'll eventually get to leave the hellscape here eventually. So
Also glad to hear you and your family are okay after the attack. Absolutely insane. Any word if the guy has been caught yet? Talked about that, not yet, but you will keep us
No,
abreast.
not
And then
yet.
he just says, fuck 2020.
I agree. Dude, I'm so done with this year.
I mean,
I'm so done with this year.
This isn't going to help, but like, next year's not going to be better.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, like, if Corona goes away and stuff, like, it can't get worse. I mean, I'm saying that and I'm getting really anxious thinking about it, but hopefully it can't get worse. Did you see the tweet that was like, I feel like time travel's real because somebody keeps going back in time trying to change one thing about 2020 to make it, like, fix it, but it keeps getting worse. Like, what happened to murder hornets? What did we give up to get rid of them? You know, like,
Oh,
did
boy,
you see
I
that?
forgot about the murder hornets. Jesus
Exactly.
Christ.
That's what I'm saying. They're like the murder hornets just went away. Like goddamn. Like how bad would that have been? Like
I know. And then the last email from Justin, Freebie and the Bean soundtrack response. So this is about the episode you're about to hear. He says, Joe, you asked what album could play in the background of Freebie and the Bean. This is the first one I thought of. It's Circus Calliope Volume 2, Authentic Circus Calliope Music from 2010. He
this
says,
would
I
be
drove
fun.
Vonnie nuts with this.
This would be
I haven't found
fun,
the exact
though.
album on vinyl, but there are many variations. And it's not like there's a lot of depth to Calliope songs being played on a Wurlitzer, so really any would do. And then he sends a Spotify link too.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna listen to this. This would be fun to like cook to or something weird.
He says, enjoy, Justin. Well, thank you,
Thank
Justin.
you.
Thank you, Wes. And thank you, Jerry, for writing in. If you want to email in, family@cageclub.me. Let us know what you're up to. Send in
Yeah.
rankings. Just say hi, family@cageclub.me. Me. Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious. I got nothing. You got anything?
Nothing.
Then the last thing we have to do is the Fast and the Furious minute 73. I think there's a couple different titles this could possibly be, but the one
Nah,
that I went
yours
with,
is
and I
the
don't know if you
best. Yeah, it's the best.
visualize the win.
Whoa! Hey, Brian, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Jesse? What do you have in your hand?
Throwing down the pink slip, just like you.
The pink slip to what, the Jetta?
Yeah,
You can't bet your dad's car.
it's all right. I ain't losing. This fool's running a Honda 2000. I'll win. That way, me and my dad can roll together when he gets out of prison. It's all good.
Well, they're gonna throw him right back in prison after he kills you.
Shut up.
You visualize the win. Hey, visualize the win, Jesse. I'm serious, you gotta listen to me, man.
Who are you racing? Jesse, don't do it. I bet you he's got more than 100 grand under the hood of that car.
Uh-huh.
So in this minute, Brian parks outside the DT Precision Auto Shop trailer and meets Jesse en route to his race. Brian and Jesse walk over the drag strip. Leon gets out of the car. Jesse gets in, and they find out that Jesse put up the pink slip for his Jetta, for his dad's Jetta, against the racer with the Honda 2000, who happens to be Johnny Tran. So my first question is, does Jesse not know Johnny Tran, or does he just know that he's racing a Honda 2000? Like, it feels insane.
We know 1,000% that Jesse knows Johnny Tran because he says Johnny Tran and his wolf pack.
Pack of wolves, yeah.
So he knows who Johnny Tran is.
So this feels like poor screenwriting.
It's really bad, and we've talked about this before. Like, there's no way he doesn't know who Johnny Tran is. There's no way he doesn't know that he was about to race him. He doesn't know that Johnny Tran probably souped up his car with like $100,000 under the hood. Like, this is all just chaos. Like, there's no way that Leon would let him race Johnny Tran. There's no way that Dom wouldn't have heard about this. I mean, I can't imagine any of this actually happening.
Like, it seems like Brian is the only one at all concerned. Like, Leon is just like, visualize the win, man. Seriously, visualize the win, which, again, he knows who Johnny Tran is. Like, it's not like...
Why is he coming through with this, like, mental toughness when he's like, okay, I'm going to pull your car up to the line for you, now mentally get prepared to race for your car?
I don't know.
That's, like, the worst, like, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't you want to be like, okay, like, we're going to race at the end of the day and get, like, psyched up for it all day? It's like, this is such, like, a half-assed last-minute type decision for you to be like, yeah, man, really visualize the win. Like, no, fucker, he should have been thinking about this, like, from before he got there.
Yep.
You're going to race for your car. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's not like a last-minute thing you would do on a whim.
And I also feel like there's another thing that we're missing here, that, like, we're just talking about Jesse and Jesse's dad being in prison, but that's never come up before. And I thought it did. Like, I thought it had when Brian and Jesse were on the computer, like he was talking about his ADD or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, it's never been mentioned before, and so Brian's just like, your dad's in prison, he's gonna be so... It's just like, how do you know? Like, I get that he's been hanging out, but it feels like this is a kind of important thing. Like, Jesse losing his car is a big deal, but the fact that it's his dad's car is, like, why he freaks out and drives off. But, like, that could have and should have been set up earlier, I think.
Could have and should have been set up earlier. And how does Brian know that both Jesse's dad has been in prison, but Jesse doesn't know that Johnny Tran has $100,000 under his hood?
I don't know.
This is what I'm saying. Like, how is he so privy to information and Jesse so, like, lost?
I also do want to point out, you had said, oh, it was in the minute when we were at Neptune's net, and you were like, doesn't it make sense that they would have driven together? Then we finally realized that, like, no, Dom probably has, like, setup or prep or whatever, and Brian shows up late. But
Yes.
I noticed that in a couple minutes ago, we saw Letty's car number is 207, Jesse's is 208, so they probably caravan together, came in one after the other, right?
And I don't know if you saw it, you didn't catch it, I added it to the document. Outside of DT Precision Auto, Leon is 201 and Vince's Ultima is 202.
Oh, I saw those cars in a previous minute. I just didn't. I didn't
Yes.
recognize the cars. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So there's still 5 cars in between them.
Yeah, but you know, like they could have been like right behind Dom, and when you start to merge, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
Letty and Jesse stay together, and Leon and Vince stay with Dom in the trailer. You know what I mean? So like it makes sense.
Johnny Tran's car is 433. I said it's on the windshield for some reason. You made a note that it's on the back. There's no back window because it's convertible, which makes sense.
Yeah, you were saying that it's on the windshield. Why is it on the windshield? That's weird. And an S2000 and like these small cars with convertibles, I bet that's just like a piece of plastic, and it's probably really small anyways. So like you could have written on the piece of plastic, but why? You'd write on the window, and two, it's like it would probably cover up like the whole rear view that he has. So
There's also what I messaged to you and I put on Twitter is that there is a huge, I mean, it's again, it doesn't matter. There's a huge continuity error in that
oh
we're
yeah,
seeing Johnny Tran when we're seeing from basically from the point of view of Jesse's car. He's in like this like kind of polo shirt that's like this
mesh.
the athleisure. It's like the mesh. It's like the like breathable fabric.
It looks like Leon's, or I mean Vince's, like mesh tank top type situation. The Vince one from earlier in the movie when Vince had that like from
The
like the
purple
watch your
thing.
back scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he had like the mesh thing. Johnny Tran has like a more tight knit version of that, but like as like a polo shirt, but it's like open. It's like a hole.
But then we cut to a straight on shot and he's just magically in a tank top. It's like a completely different outfit, which I don't like. That must mean to me that he's probably in two different cars, I would guess. Because we
Probably.
talked about how like
Yeah.
previous races they had different cars for like the interior versus the exterior or whatever. But like I made a joke on Twitter. I was like, how did Jesse ever think he was going to beat Johnny Tran when he's so powerful that he's able to change shirts between shots? Like, come on, man! Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
The responsibility of that to make sure continuity is there falls in the hands of the script supervisor. And so, Deirdre Horgan or Mary Patton, one of you, I mean, come on. I redacted some things before we talk about the cars. There's one other thing I want to talk about, and this
Okay.
is not quite on a level of like craziness, but I was like, because there's the line in here that we heard in a minute where Jesse says, "It's all right, I ain't losing. This fool is running a Honda 2000." I was like, I feel like we've heard the word fool a disproportionate amount of times for like a movie that's like this kind of tough. It's the third time that the word fool has been used as an insult in this movie.
That's your redacted tab.
Yes. So
That's
Vince
really
saying,
funny.
"What's up with this fool? What is he sandwich crazy?" And then Vince saying, "He's got no call being up in here. You don't know that fool for shit." And then here Jesse calling Johnny Tran a fool. So Vince calls Brian a fool twice.
So I have two theories on this.
Okay.
They were gonna use more hard Fs.
Okay.
They changed them to full, or two, to give it more of a California vibe, they use the word fool more disproportionately than we would on the East Coast.
It just feels like such a soft kind of like, "Oh, you're such a fool." Like, I mean,
No, but it's like it's prevalent in like there. You know what I mean? Like
I have no concept of that one way or the other, so I will take your word for that. But it just feels like a kind of a funny word to like hear so often. Because like they're in, like one of the more iconic lines in the movie is, "What is this fool sandwich great?" Like you just like the word fool keeps coming up. I was like, oh shit, okay.
yeah. No, I just think it has to be one of those two. Like now that you brought that up, that's the first two things that popped into my head.
I don't have any concept on the regional affectation, the dialect. I think we want to have like a hard F, or just even like this fucker or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? But like wanting to keep it like whichever F you want to use and kind of substituting it whatever. I think, yeah. So what'd you notice car wise? There's a couple new cars. One that we've seen before, I think. Have we seen both of these cars before or no?
Yes, we have. Johnny Tran's S2000, we see it when he pulls into when we have the fucking guy that I already forgot his name. When he puts the oil in his mouth. What
Oh,
was that guy's
Ted.
name? Ted. Yeah, when we see Ted, it's there, and we've definitely seen Jesse's Jetta before. Jesse's seats in his Jetta are done by Stitchcraft Custom Interiors. I found Stitchcraft. They're I found a Stitchcraft Interiors company in California. I'm assuming it's the same one. I already dropped my car note on you that I noticed that Leon and Vince had come in together as well. Craig Lieberman's badge says race official, and then has like some scribbles or something. It says A.
Okay.
That's kind of cool. That's about it. I have a couple other car notes, but nothing super crazy. Those were like the main takeaways that I had.
The only other thing that I noticed in this minute is that the song "Race Wars" by BT ends, and then spoiler in the song title, but Jesse loses Pink Slip by BT begins, which is just like, hey man.
But I mean, it doesn't like it's not like they come up along the bottom, right? So
Right,
it doesn't
true.
matter.
Okay, so now any other things to comment on? Any other notes in this minute? Anything else you've seen before we go to the trivia question?
No, we sussed it out pretty good. Everything that I want to talk about, we like kind of interwove nicely. So
I have three different questions, and I think they're probably all easy, but I think
they're all
that
stupid easy.
again, so here's
I
what
like
I'm
the
trying
last
to think
one the
about.
best.
Like, I think we need to figure out what we're trying to do. If we're trying to make even the most diehard fan frustrated, then these don't work. But if we're trying to do a balance of questions that
think it's a
conceivably
balance.
could be told at like a pub trivia night, like these are not crazy.
No, I think that the last one is the most fair difficulty. It's still easy, but I think it's the most fair one.
So the questions that I have is what kind of car does Johnny Tran use at Race Wars, the Honda 2000?
S2000, yeah.
How much money does Brian estimate Johnny Tran has put into his car? $100,000. Or where is Jesse's dad? Prison. We could also say dead. We could say back east. We could say whatever. Or is there
At
a different
home?
question that you have in mind that you'd rather do?
I like where is Jesse's dad? That's a good one. I think that's the most fair one. And, like, he says it quickly, he says it once. I think that we can have some other good answers in there.
Should we reword it to be like, why isn't Jesse's dad at Race Wars? Because they can say he's at home, he's in prison, he's dead, he had no interest.
Also, you should. I also think we should say prison and jail as an answer.
Again, that's where it's like nitpicky. Where I think
No, those are completely different things. There's like county jail, and then there's federal prison.
Yeah, okay. I admit that they're different. I don't know. I think we can have better. I think we have better, more diverse answers.
We can have other diverse answers, but I think that those are two distinct answers. And I think that it's totally said that he's in prison, so it's non-negotiable about what the true answer is. So I think there's no ambiguity in the answer.
This is, I think, whatever that trivia question was that we argued about for 10 minutes that it cut down to like 30 seconds. There was, dear listener, like 5 or 10 movie minutes ago, we got into this whole big thing where like we just argued back and forth, as you can imagine, to no actual payoff, and I basically chopped all of it out. And I don't remember what the question was, and I don't remember what the answers were. Oh, it was what name was not said or something like that. And I was just okay. Should the question be where is Jesse's dad, or why is Jesse's dad not at Race Wars?
I don't mind either one. I'm indifferent to it.
Why is Jesse's dad not at Race Wars?
That's fine.
Because he's dead.
Oh,
because he's in prison. Because he's at work.
At home.
Because he's mad at Jesse.
No, because he's in jail.
You really, really want that.
I like the jail and the prison thing, because I think that makes the question an easy question, tougher, and you'd have to know the script to know the right answer.
I want listeners to write in about that, because I feel like that's a nitpicky thing that I don't like, but I will leave here.
Even tough for the well-versed.
Time out. So here's an actual, like, a more logical question. This, like, what I'm saying, like, I don't like it, it's just like I don't like it. Like, that's not really a defense. Yeah. My actual defense here is I agree that it makes it more complicated. However, by having two very similar things, it's like what I was saying about Letty's car number, about being like 207 or 307 and then having different numbers. It's like by having two answers that are basically the same, as a quiz taker, you're going to be like,
fine.
It's probably one of those. So you want to draw attention to it.
I want to draw attention to it and be like, it's one of these two, but then you start second guessing, because if like you don't read the question, you're going to be like, because you know that he's either in jail or in prison, right? Like if you watch the movie once or multiple times, you're going to be like, it's one of these two. But to break it between those two is going to be difficult to try to remember. So yes, I don't mind that it's repeated, because I'm like, if you read the question and don't pick one of the completely wrong answers, which are so obvious, this is the difficulty of it.
So I would like the listener to write in and see if is this kind of, because I think Wes's definition or clarification or like perspective on what a good trivia question versus a bad trivia question kind of helped us. I want people to write in, like, say, is this kind of like very minute difference, even though it's not, I know there's a difference, but I feel like as opposed to having just like a wildly different answer, is having these kind of littler, smaller tweaks good thing, or is it becoming too in the weeds? I'm just curious what people think, because I could kind of go either way. Like, I get that it makes it difficult, but I think it, like, to me, it kind of takes a little bit of the fun away. It's just like, well, it's frustrating, because I feel like it's harder to get a perfect score, which I guess is maybe the point, but I don't know.
We're never going to get a perfect score. That's the whole point. Like, we made the quiz and we're not getting perfect scores.
Yeah.
It's you have to get the best score you can, but I like that it's, like, ultimately unachievable. That no matter how hard you try, that, like, you're probably going to get a few wrong. Also, in the group chat, they got it right, so.
Well, that's also, I'm thinking, like, did they say I mean, I know it's an easier question, but, like, did they say prison because it's between jail and prison? They can hear him saying prison. You know what I mean? Like, again, it's the kind of...
Good. That's what I want. That's, like, a good litmus test for the question for me.
So we have 73 questions, 73 minutes, 81 questions. If you're a patron, you can go to the pinned post on toofast2forever.com and check out the quiz. Check out the Fast and Furious minute document, both fully updated. Joe, any other thoughts about this minute or about anything we talked about, or should we take a break and talk about Freebie and the Bean?
No. I actually like that. Again, this minute was really fucking well contained.
Yeah.
Like, it's like they shot this movie minute by minute.
Let's take a break. Let's come back and hear another word from Ford, and let's talk about Freebie and the Bean.
episode number 107, Freebie and the Bean. This episode is brought to you by Ford. Two unbiased panels of auto experts took a close look at all the 1973 cars. They tested them thoroughly, and based on these tests, Ford won Car of the Year in Road Test Competition, and the Ford LTD won Full-Size Sedan of the Year in Motor Trends Competition. Shout out Ford.
Shout out Ford indeed. Well, welcome back to the show. We are talking about Freebie and the Bean. We've got one more movie. We've got The Getaway next Friday.
Ooh.
But this is our penultimate. If you want to use a $10 or whatever the phrase is, $2 word, $10 word, $5 word, $3 word.
I don't know. Yeah.
Big vocabulary word, penultimate, one of my favorite, maybe my favorite word, next to
I love
last.
that
Actually,
word.
no. Penultimate is great. What I really do love is anti-penultimate, which is next to last, two before, A-N-T-E, penultimate. Love that.
I like
but
that.
anyway, Freebie and the Bean. We have one more. We got The Getaway next Friday, but we are still kicking it old school. At times while watching this movie, we can talk about it, I was just like, should we have done this? And like, it's kind of like it feels less significant and less important, but it's still fun. And I was like, it
fun.
feels what we kind of left off, especially with, last episode, Nico talking about how much he loves the French Connection. I was like, should we have done that instead of this? Maybe, but still, I'm glad that we watched this. So what did you think of Freebie and the Bean before we talk about what it is or what it's about or anything like that?
I liked it. It was a silly buddy cop movie. It had some Midnight Run flares in it. It was relaxed. And the buddy copness, I kept relating it to Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, okay. I have a different question, but okay, I like that. I like that comparison a lot. Okay.
Yeah, so when I was watching it, I was like, who is Hobbs and who is Shaw? And that's what I kept playing through in my head when I was watching it.
I was trying to think, who are they most like? And I didn't even think Hobbs and Shaw. I was thinking Brian
Really?
and Roman, or I was thinking more specifically, I was thinking Rico and Tego.
Okay, I can see.
Because it just seems,
both of
I guess it
those.
is also Hobbs and Shaw. It's like two guys who, work together but seem to hate each other.
Yes.
So the plot of the movie is very simple, is that there is a high-profile hijacker that they want to arrest, and they're going to, there's going to be a key witness that is going to testify him against the court over the course of a weekend, which is Super Bowl Sunday in San Francisco, which we will talk about that later, because I was like, this feels whatever. They need to just keep bad things from happening. Basically, keep people from killing the guy, keep people alive. And so it's kind of it's like a 2-hour movie, and there's an hour of chases and an hour of Alan Arkin and James Caan just yelling at each other. And there's almost nothing to not love about it until the very end when it comes a little weirdly transphobic, where I was just like, oh.
No, it's very transphobic in the beginning. It's very transphobic in the middle. It's very transphobic at the end.
It just it comes out of it kind of comes out of nowhere. It's just why? I get that it's 50 years old, but it just feels it's not a feel-good kind of fun movie like it should be. It's almost too mean, but it's not mean in a fun way. It's just mean in a
it's
oh,
mean.
this just doesn't it just kind of feels dated in a way.
Yeah, and he's always super racist against his partner too.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, so we have Alan Arkin, who is probably maybe best known for being the first thing I think of. Even though I don't love the movie, I think of him in Little Miss Sunshine. The
Agreed.
Grandpa in Little Miss Sunshine.
Same.
Oh, he's in
Yep.
Glengarry Glen Ross. He's in Argo. He's
love that
he's
movie.
been in 100 things. You've seen him in a bunch of stuff. James
Yeah.
Caan, obviously Sonny from The Godfather.
Yep.
And they're just this mismatched cop duo. I like this movie. I didn't think it was great. I think that I probably took fewer notes on it than I did on any other thing, just because I was I don't really know. There were great chases which I want to talk about, but I was just kind of not disappointed by it, but I was just oh yeah, that was fine.
Yeah, I think that in the scope of what we've been watching this time, that this was a very, as you say it, fine movie, right?
Yep.
It's good. It was a fun Saturday watch.
It's just it could have been more, and it wasn't. I don't know. The top trivia on IMDb is that Alan Arkin said he only acted in this because he needed a paycheck, but thought the script was quote absolute garbage.
I don't think the script is that bad. The
Or
dialogue.
maybe the
and
movie,
stuff-
I don't know, or maybe the experience, I don't know, but just he did not like being a part of this.
Interesting.
And again, I feel we saw this maybe with, oh no, I think it was when, I don't remember what movie it was, but it was going to be a Steve McQueen movie, and then it became a Burt Reynolds movie or something. I think it might have been Cannonball Run. I think it was Cannonball Run, where it was going to be a Steve McQueen movie, and then became a Burt Reynolds How Nita movie, and it basically went from being this drama to being a comedy. And this movie became an improv sort of comedy after Alan Arkin and James Caan got together on set, and they kind of riffed and whatever, and it got better. They just had this banter. They're we're just gonna mix it up a little bit. It almost feels like the movie didn't know what it wanted to be, kind of.
Yeah, because it seems like a comedy, but then it takes very dark turns sometimes to become a darker comedy. and they're kind of mean to each other in a non like playful way at points.
There's also what I think is supposed to be played for a joke that like Alan Arkin suspects his wife, who is played, her name is Consuelo, not
Yeah.
Consuela, but Consuelo, because I was like looking at the movies and like she's been in a bunch of movies that I have heard of, but she's best known for being in the Mary Tyler Moore Show. She played Rhoda, and she had her own spin-off called Rhoda. So like she's like this huge prolific TV actor. You can look on YouTube, you can just search Mary Tyler Moore Rhoda, and there's like entire episodes of Mary Tyler Moore up there. Alan Arkin suspects her of having an affair. You know, he's literally giving her the third degree. Like he's a cop. He's like, where were you? Why were you this? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, what about this? What about this? What about this? Yeah.
Yeah. And she defends herself across the board, and then like it's just like there's no payoff. It's just like I'm not having an affair. And it's like, oh, it just feels like all these things
I'm
happen.
just an
It's just
idiot.
like
Yeah.
nothing ever comes of it. It was just like, oh, if this was maybe 90 minutes and just kind of like sillier almost, because
Yep.
there's silly parts here, and like the chases are great. Like if
The
you cut out
chases are great.
25 minutes of just like I don't know what, like a lot of different stuff, it could be more fun. But I don't know. I was also thinking now each of these movies that we watch, I don't know that this is one that you put on your bar.
Actually, you know what? I was watching this and I turned to Rachel as I was watching. She came in and sat down to watch some of with me, and I said, and it was when he had stolen the motorcycle, right? Like when the cops
and he's
like
doing like
pull over-
wheelies, like James Caan, impressive tricks.
Yeah, so he like just like sees a guy on a motorcycle, he pushes him off, steals the motorcycle, and just like pretty much like wheelies at people for like 5 to 10 minutes. And when I saw that scene, I was like, Rachel, this is the part that cemented this into my dive bar classic car movie playlist. Because it's just like, it's so nutty, and without sound, I think the movie would be better.
I guess, yeah, that would yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, if you were just watching it like as like a goofy, like, kind of like the Three Stooges to play on, you know, a Mad World version of a buddy cop movie, and you had no sound to it, you'd be like, wow, this is really silly. And you wouldn't get like some of the seriousness that happens in the film. And then the car chases are great, so like that's what I was thinking.
When I watch a lot of these old movies, I like writing down the quotes. I like the smart, the jokes, the witty banter, whatever. And like there weren't a lot here, so I do think you're like,
No.
watch it without sound is probably better.
Yeah.
Like, there was a couple lines, like there's the line toward the end. One guy says, "How can you be a mouthpiece and an asshole at the same time?" I was like, "That's a great line. Like that's a
That's
really
a
funny line."
great line. Yeah.
But the only
that is a
quote
good
that I
one.
wrote down was, you don't even need it, because like, so like, there's one chase that ends. Like every one of these chases, it's like kind of like a slow speed chase. Like they're not like especially high speed car chases. They're just like slow speed where like the guy just can't get away from them, and they're just kind of like close but never really on top of them, and they're just crashing through things and into things
Yeah.
and like totaling cars. And if there's a thing on the street, they're gonna hit it, which I think is very
Yep.
funny.
I did like that, the realism of them like hitting parked cars and
Yeah.
like sliding into like construction barriers and stuff like that. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Like one of the early Fastnections I wrote down is that there's a lot of like unintentional Tokyo drifting. Like they're just like not
Yep.
taking corners well. Like they're trying to drift essentially, but like they're all just like only stopping because they hit a wall or a parked car.
And he says in one part, which made me think, am I Freebie? He said, I could have made that my Porsche. And he hits the wall, and he's like, but you're in the fucking cop car. And I also don't think that Freebie has a Porsche. I think that he's just imagining one, because later we go to his, like, cop locker, and he just has pictures of Porsches all in his locker, and I was like, wow, this is a relatable character for me.
Yeah, I think the conversation they were having, and I might have misremembered or misheard or whatever, but I think they were basically, he was trying to like get the San Francisco Police Department to like get them a Porsche to use. They're like, no, you can have this Ford. And they're like, like fine. Like I feel like whether it's for personal use or professional use, he just like wants to be driving a Porsche because like, he wants to see himself as
Yes.
like a movie cop, and he's just not. He's just like in a standard issue Ford.
And he's always talking about, like, I only make, like, this much a week and stuff like that. And, like, that's really funny to me, so.
I think of the two, you'd rather be Freebie than the Bean, because Bean is kind of just like he's just an asshole. Like Freebie is, again, like there's a scene where like he's dating or sleeping with a girl who's just only credited as Freebie's girl, which is cool, good, all right.
Yeah.
She's this English teacher, and she's like chastising him for his grammar, and then she's apologizing. But then like he has this whole thing about like, you know, I'm not like, I didn't go to school or whatever, but like I know the difference between this author and this author, and like he at least knows his shortcomings. Like he's kind of a bumbling idiot a little bit, but like he at least is not an asshole. Like Bean is just like a overwrought, like wound up, just like jerk who like is just mad at everyone all the time. Whereas
Really?
Freebie's just
You
kind of
think
like
so?
a dopey kind of guy.
I think it's kind of the other way around for me.
My whole way of saying that is like I think if you wanted to be like if you were aspiring to be, if you thought you were one of these two
You want to be
characters,
Freebie.
I think
Yeah.
you'd rather be Freebie than the Bean.
100%. I get it.
So anyway, what Fastnection did you find? What did you notice in here? Do you think, I guess going back to your original question, are they more Hobbs and Shaw or Rico Tego or Brian Roman?
Because I watched it with my perception as them being Hobbs and Shaw, I only saw it as Freebie being Shaw and the Bean being Hobbs. So, and like I was constantly relating them to that. Like Freebie's more of like a debutante. You know, we see the Bean fight the guy with his handcuffs off and stuff like that. And I thought that was like a lot more Hobbs. That's the only way I can see it. I can kind of get your like Roman Bryan situation, but I think it works way better as Hobbs and Shaw.
I was just thinking because like in my brain when we're watching one of these like buddy cop movies, I'm thinking I guess I should be thinking Hobbs and Shaw, but I'm always just thinking Brian first. And I was like Brian Roman, they kind of have that combative sort of
I get it. Yep.
friends, but also kind of hate each other at times or whatever. But then they wind up in a couple bathrooms in this movie. I was like, Rico and Tego have that whole bathroom scene in 5. Like, there's not
I didn't even connect that. That's a good
unrelated.
point. Yeah.
What I was saying before about like the other line that I wrote down is that there's like this one chase that like they're just following this blue car, this blue van, or whatever they're following. And the best thing I think maybe in any movie this lab, it's just the craziest thing is and we've seen cars fly off and through and
Go
into
ahead.
all sorts
Yep.
of things. But
I
they
have
go
this.
from a highway overpass into a third floor apartment building and just like into an old couple's bedroom. And they just like
Yep.
walk out of the car dazed. And then Freebie calls the cops and he just calls dispatch and just like, could you send a tow truck, please? Hold it. It's a third floor apartment 304. And I was thinking
Yep.
like cars don't fly. We have at the
Yep.
beginning of 6, we have the car that gets into, the Shaw group that puts into the building. We've seen things crash into and off of and through all sorts of stuff this lap. But I was like, that might be the biggest fast connection. It's just like how many times we've seen cars flying
Car
and crashing
into
through
building.
things. Yeah.
100%.
But like that line was great, but like you don't even need to hear that line. Like you can just see the car, like the visual of the car through the bedroom window. It's just like, oh, this is great.
I agree. It was perfect. And I was thinking a lot of 7 with the cars between the buildings, but car going into building. I agree.
Yeah.
What did you think about them playing chicken with the van and the car? Which is very a la 2. You mentioning
Sure.
Brian and Roman.
There's also the chicken in 7, where they neither, Dom and Shaw, neither of them lose chicken.
Oh
right?
yeah, that's true. We are watching this, and I'm watching at the beginning, and they dump all the trash into the trunk, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how they like find out about the guy, whatever. We never see a trunk in Fast and the Furious.
No, but I was actually thinking, I made a note here that like Tarantino has that famous trunk shot where you never see actually what's in the trunk, but like in Pulp Fiction, in Reservoir Dogs, I think, in Kill Bill, in a bunch of movies, it's like the perspective from the trunk where the trunk opens up
yes.
and you see the people. And I was like, I wonder if he lifted it like from this movie. And then I found on Wiki that Quentin Tarantino said, quote, "This is nothing short of a masterpiece. It's absolutely brutal. Part of the way the
Wow.
film worked was for you to laugh at the brutal violence and then feel bad at yourself or feel bad about yourself for laughing." So like I guess
Wow.
it shouldn't be a surprise that Tarantino loves this movie, but it's also like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't get a Tarantino feel.
It was the
For sure.
trunk, just trunk shot. That's exclusively it.
No, I can get it now because it's like it's very reminiscent of it. It was just like that's weird. That's a connection my brain didn't make. Yeah, I was just thinking about trunks and like the only trunks we ever see are like the ones that have subs in them.
Yeah.
Like we never see anybody like go into a trunk or put something into a trunk. For how much we see it in Tarantino movies now that you mentioned it, we'd never see it in Fast and the Furious, which is kind of confusing.
Which is also weird because like there's so many ostensibly like car porn shots where you're just seeing like hoods open to like show off the engine and show off the block
Exactly.
and whatever, and like you would think that there would be something going on in a trunk or like in the British in the boot, but like nope.
Or even them being like, they take the bags of money and throw them in the trunk or something like that. Like, we really don't even see that, I don't think.
I don't think so. I mean, there probably is at some point, but like it's not prominent enough to stand out, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
There's a thing early on, like one of my early notes is that they punch that guy through a screen door, which I thought was very funny. That they just
That's
like
awesome.
punch
Yeah.
through. I was just like, that's very cool. In that regard, like they just crash through everything. Like it's just like last episode we had Kevo got the Rock. He is Hobbs, right? He is the
Yes.
character quiz at least now for now part of the write up, part of the flavor text for Hobbs that Wes wrote is about how like sometimes it's easier just to crash through things. I was like, these guys are both kind of Hobbs. Like they're both just like it's just easier to go through this like rack of clothes or this fruit cart or whatever than to try to steer around it because like it's just like these cars are all like old metal, like they're crashing the things like the car barely dents, like they're it's just a different time, right?
American Steel. They just start like busting through shit. So they stop the bootleggers, right? I mean, I guess they're not bootleggers. They're like, what were they? They were like...
So yeah, they're hijackers.
Hijackers is the word I was looking for.
Which is very Fast and Furious.
Very Fast and Furious. The truck flips over, and they have a whole bunch of Cutty Sark. And what movie were we watching in this lap that had Cutty Sark in it, too? Do you remember?
No, I remember you saying it.
I think it was maybe the original Italian Job or something that I noticed it in.
Wait, was it a movie or was... No, I think it was the Shrine of Back to the Future that Wes had in his house.
Oh my god, that's right. Sorry, you
So this is a Wes nection. It's not a Fast nection, it's a Wes nection.
Yeah, this is a Wes nection.
The first Wes nection.
Yep, that's what it was. Yep, you got it. That's what I was thinking of.
It's like I remember we talked about it, but like I don't remember why we talked about it. And there we go.
Yep, that was it.
Okay, so I want to talk about it being Super Bowl Sunday, Super Bowl weekend in San Francisco.
Tell me, yes.
When we're at the game, there is zero, like, I can't believe that they used the phrase Super Bowl, but got, like, no licensing to use anything even remotely NFL related. Like, the closest thing we get to any kind of branding is that they have, like, people with flags that are pennants that just say Super Bowl on them. Like, they're just like...
Mm-hmm. We talk about it now that you can't use the word Super Bowl because it's licensed, so, like, everybody calls it, like, the big game or, like Super Sunday or something, you know?
The movie ends, the climax of the movie is at, I guess, the 49ers stadium. We don't know it's they didn't ever mention the 49ers. They're just in San Francisco and they're hosting the Super Bowl.
Yes.
But they go to the generic football stadium and we see probably hundreds of extras and they're all like dressed for work or just like dressed to be like going to the store to do chores or whatever. Just like
nobody's in jerseys, nobody's colored up.
Maybe I do think that like fandom has changed over the years, and I think that,
I agree.
Getting way dressed up is a different thing. But like, it was weird to see like absolutely no mind whatsoever paid to like anybody giving a shit that they looked even remotely real.
Yeah, or like sports related at all.
Yeah.
Like, even back then, there was people that were sports related, you know, like...
But I also, like, the bigger issue I have is, like, I don't know that there's any reason for it to be on Super Bowl Sunday. Like, I don't know that it could just be, like, a football
it plays
game.
nothing into the story, you're right. Other than there was traffic, and that's why there was so much traffic when they were driving, but you're in L.A. or San Francisco, like... There could have been traffic for any number of reasons besides Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah, there's, like, one line, like, if it's this bad on Friday, what's it going to be like on Sunday? And then, like, that's it. It's just like,
yep, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually had it's kind of a fast action, but kind of a question about it. So we have, I mentioned the scene before where Freebie's talking to Freebie's girl about literature and books and everything like that. And I was wondering if Mia had continued her schooling, which is like a thread in the first movie that is then immediately dropped, would there have been like these strained conversations between Brian and Mia about like how she's explaining science to him or whatever, and he's just like, hey man, I might not be a scientist, but I know the difference between oxygen and hydrogen, or what, something, you know what I mean, or like some Nas
like nitrogen joke. And oxygen, yeah. I think we have to assume that Brian is semi-educated, right?
Whatever the bare minimum is to be a cop, at least, right? So
yeah, but I mean, he also becomes a detective later, so we have to factor that into his educational status. So I'm assuming he's like a college graduate at least, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I had to laugh because like it does not seem like Freebie and Freebie's girl are long for this world. It does not seem like their relationship is built to last.
No.
Because I think in my head I was still like, oh, if Freebie is Brian, I guess this is Mia, and like I could sort of see one where like she's like way more educated or like, you know, he knows about the things he knows about, but that's it. And she's like trying to bring other stuff into the world, and he's just like, I don't know, man. Like I know. Whatever.
I can see that. I can't imagine her as Mia though. Oh god, that was like such a weird disconnect in my brain.
That actress is probably like 28 or 30, but she seems like today like 50. Like she's probably like way younger than she seems, but just like it being a 1974 movie and the hair and the clothing and whatever.
Agreed, yeah.
Times are weird. There are a couple scenes like I guess that like they're kind of all chases, but there's a couple scenes that I really love. There's the one scene in the bathroom early on where they're trying to clear out the guys in the urinal so that they can like shoot the first hitman. And it's just so funny to watch the guys like, zip up their flies and leave. And the one guy's like, what? Like, without words, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm peeing. Like, I can't just leave. He finally finishes and he goes to wash his hands and like grab him by like the scruff of his neck and just like throw him out. Like, come on, man. Like, I thought that was all very, very funny. They just shoot the guy and they're like, oh yeah, we heard that the guy got dusted or whatever. And, like, their boss is like, yeah, we know what you did. Like,
Yeah, they
it's
called
good
into the
work,
cops.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite scene in the movie, aside from maybe the bedroom crash, was the kitchen fight.
What was that?
I don't remember if it's Freebie or the Bean. I want to say it's maybe Bean, but I don't know. But they're in like a kitchen of a restaurant, and they're throwing a guy, and he's like on every counter. He's knocking every food off. There's like a big sauce pot hanging from the ceiling that like drops all the tomato sauce or the pasta sauce or whatever all over him. And then he gets shot, and he winds up on the flat top grill, and he just like gets burned. And then they're like, oh, I think he's still alive or whatever. Like this guy, like they go through a ring. Like there's a big brawl through a kitchen, and he just gets like he takes out like all the prep food, like probably hours worth of work for like either the set decorator or like in the world of the movie, like the chefs, and like it's just all obliterated by this fight. You don't remember that?
No. I mean, like I was watching it. Obviously, my mind's not in like a super focused place, so no, I don't remember the kitchen scene at all.
It was Bean, because Bean shoots him at the end. Yeah, it was toward the end. It was like right before he goes home and like grills Consuelo about like where she's been.
Okay, yeah, I remember that.
It's a big fight. So I'd say go back and watch. Like it's like a 5-minute scene where it's just needlessly destructive of a kitchen, like for comedic effect, which I thought was very funny. But I was just like, whew.
Yeah, they're demolishing everything.
I don't think I have any other Fastnections. I do have one other note. There's also an ambulance in the movie that we wind up in. We spend time in an ambulance, which we did a lot of time in the Cannonball Run, because Burt Reynolds, like their whole trip across country was in an ambulance.
Okay, yeah.
The only other real note that I have is that I cannot believe that this movie uses the word douchebag literally.
It literally uses the word douchebag, and her using it as like a watering, like an irrigation system
because
for
it developed,
her plant.
It had holes in them, yeah.
Was incredible to me. I really like the back and forth of like the thing, what is the thing, say the thing, and then he says it in Spanish, and she's like, oh, my douchebag.
Earlier in the movie, when Freebie and the Bean are talking, and Bean is like, I think my wife is having an affair, and Freebie's like, oh, just get her a vibrator.
Yeah.
Bean is like, that's for her face, though. And he's like, what are you talking? No, it's not. And I think it's like on the cusp of like, it's like a little bit after the sexual revolution, and like people, especially people like Bean, might not know, and like it's a totally different time and whatever. And so he's kind of like, and when he's like, well, where's your thing? Where's your thing? Like he thinks that she had this affair and she brought her douchebag or whatever. And then for her to be like, no, it's just hanging above the plant. And it's like, oh, like that's amazing. Like I was just like, whoa.
So
like,
innocuous. Yeah.
Like little did they know that like 35 or 40 years, like whenever we started using that like as an insult, or I don't even know like if it whatever, but I was just like, wow, like I don't think I've ever seen it used in a thing
literally,
authentically, literally. Yeah, I was like, wow, okay.
And I really enjoyed it too. I laughed that Rachel was watching it with me, and I was like, oh my god, look at what she did with it. Yeah. Like that's hilarious. The only other notes I have about this that really cracked me up, based on my situation.
Did you watch this movie with your dad or no?
Long story, but no. That there was a Texas guy that came in and got into a fist fight in the hotel lobby because he had a confirmed reservation for his hotel room, and I was like, wow, how appropriate for right now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And also in the beginning of the movie, there's an Avis moving truck in the beginning of the movie that I was thinking about too.
The trivia that I have about this movie, and I feel like it's, again, like, I feel this might be our shortest actual movie discussion just because, like, not a lot happens. Like, the plot is very simple.
No, it's fun.
Maybe if we had done this earlier in the lab, we would have more to say, because I feel like it's just not an afterthought. I don't know, but it's fine. It's okay. It's good. It's not bad. It's dated, and there's a little bit of problematic stuff, but, like, the chases are cool. They're realistic and they're fun and whatever. To your point, like, just maybe watch without sound.
Yeah, I think it'd be more fun without sound, to be honest.
So the SFPD car that they use is a 1972 Ford Custom 500 Police Interceptor sedan. They totaled over a dozen of those while they were filming this. So, all those things.
Big budget, okay.
And a lot of them also appeared in the movie Magnum Force, which is a Dirty Harry movie. So I think that's very
nice.
I think he's also a San Francisco Police Department, SFPD.
Yeah.
Alan Arkin and James Caan both threatened to quit the production because they thought director Richard Rush unwisely prioritized stunts over the relationship between their characters. The director, Richard Rush, said the film contained, quote, 4 major chase scenes and over 100 car crashes. It feels like maybe 4, but it kind of feels just like one long... It's not Vanishing Point where it's like one long car chase, but it just feels like it kind of never stops. Like they just kind of put things on pause before they go cause more chaos.
Yeah, no, there's segments of it, but it is like one long car chase with like other stuff in between.
There was a film from same year this came out, 1974. There's a film called Busting or Bustin', which is very similar to this, and I don't know, but like they moved the release date of this movie because like they didn't want basically the two of the same movie coming out. So
Maybe we need to watch Bustin'.
I meant to
I've
look
never
it up.
seen it before.
Two LA Vice Squad officers find themselves up against their corrupt superiors when they try bringing a crime boss to justice. Yep, seems exactly so far. During the course of their investigation, the two cops disguise themselves as gays and raid a gay bar. Well, maybe we're not going to cover it.
Yeah.
Elliot Gould and Robert Blake. Okay, big names, but oof.
Okay.
Is it a comedy? Drama, crime, action? I don't know. There was a TV series based on Freebie and the Bean in 1980. It had 9 episodes, starred Tom Mason and Hector Elizondo.
Was it called Freebie and the Bean? Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
And the only other trivia that I had is that apparently, according to Rolling Stone said that Stanley Kubrick called this the best film of 1974, which is like,
wow. Okay.
But like I like that the IMDb trivia was not like Stanley Kubrick said. It's just like Rolling Stone said that Stanley Kubrick said. Because like I think even whoever was just like, this feels not true.
Yeah,
considering
let's
in 1974. The Godfather Part 2, Chinatown, The Conversation, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, Phantom of the Paradise, like all these movies came out. Like again, like not like a huge deep bench, but like a lot of those movies are very, very clearly better than
Freebie and the Bean. Yeah, I agree.
Any other thoughts before we watch the trailer and play the letterbox game?
I liked it. I think that the car chases were some of the best we've seen.
I think the realism adds to that, right?
Yeah, I don't think like the best in any spectrum, but I think that they're great.
All right, well I put the trailer for this in Discord. It's once again from our favorite movie clips, classic trailers, Freebie and the Bean 1974 official trailer. It is 3 minutes and 10 seconds long.
I think I am good to go whenever you are. Give me a countdown.
All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
Warner Brothers Communications Company presents. Oh, he's choking him in the car.
Oh, that's what leads them. So it's just in the trailer. Okay.
Car through the building in the trailer.
I was wondering, like, I think it's just for comedic effect there, but, like, their bedroom is in, like, where they, like, you walk into that old couple's house into their bedroom, which is, like,
yeah, it's a studio.
Yeah.
He goes in the ladies' room.
Oh, and that's the final scene in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, trailers are so weird back then. Like, there's no narration. You don't really know what you're watching, right?
Oh, we didn't talk about this guy on top of the crane.
With his girlfriend that Freebie basically threatens to rape, kind of, like, or insinuates he's going to rape. Like, again, real uncomfortable.
So weird. I like Consuelo a lot, though. She was great.
She's great. She's maybe the best part of the movie.
You're not fit to guard the fish at the aquarium.
You're not fit to guard the fish at the aquarium. I like about them lying about the charges that they have against this guy.
Would that change things?
An airtight case, sir.
Airtight case.
And then we find out that like the thing that they found in the garbage was planted there anyway, and like the result of like an extramarital affair between like the guy's wife and like a police lieutenant or something. Like,
yeah,
it kind of becomes like needlessly complicated at the end for kind of no reason.
Yeah,
or maybe regularly complicated in a movie that's otherwise not at all complicated, and I just got confused.
Fair.
I don't know.
Yep.
You know, let's just show this entire... There's the punch through the screen door. Let's just show this entire 1-minute scene in the trailer. Why not? Like, this scene is just... It keeps going.
Yeah, they're stuck here.
There's a contract out on stuff from Detroit professionals, so we have a major problem.
Yeah, them just rambling.
I guess it's just, like, understanding, like, what the movie's about, but, like...
But showing...
Is this making you want to watch the movie? I don't know that it is.
Not at all. I don't think so.
We're still here. We're still here.
We're still here. Okay, a little bit of fighting when he fights the guy
outside.
Was funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Cadillac salesman from Florida or whatever. I like his reactions. Oh, Cadillac salesman from Detroit. Oh,
the
they're
dentist
playing Happy
scene.
Music.
I don't understand the dentist scene at all.
Same. There's your kitchen scene. I saw it, yeah. The dominoes falling down was fun. Wow.
There's more kitchen. There's the sauce that falls on them, and then them driving through the rack of clothes.
Yep. I like the cars over cars. That's a good move, too.
like, I know that people sometimes, like, I know Nick especially likes to watch along, and I don't know that he's going to listen to this before he watches this, but, like, if you were here at this point in the podcast and you're not sure if you want to watch or not, just watch the trailer, and you see most of the cool
Yep.
stuff, and, like, that's it.
Yeah, and you could, like, listen to us, and then that would have been it. We'd have wrapped it all up for you.
Not a great trailer. Actually, probably the worst trailer that we've watched since we came back and started doing this game again.
I agree.
The final game to play is the Letterboxd game. Joe, for reference sake, Mad Max Fury Road, one of the most popular films on Letterboxd, has been seen by 592,000 people. Freebie and the Bean, 1974, directed by Richard Rush, starring Alan Arkin, James Caan, Loretta Swit, and Jack Crucian, has been seen by how many people?
6,700.
Lower.
Oh, 4,000?
Lower.
2,000.
2,025.
Wow. I was even going low from the jump. Wow.
And 4 of those people are people that I follow on Letterboxd, and 2 of them are Draft House employees. It's just like, this feels like a very,
yes,
it's
niche.
It's a certain
niche
kind of
movie.
Thing. Exactly.
Niche movie, yeah.
Average rating, though, 3.5. Most common rating of 4, then a 3.5, then a 3. How many of those 25 people have it in their top 4? And it is a number bigger than 0.
6.
7.
Oh, I was close. Okay.
You were close. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Schizopolis23 on Letterboxd.
Okay.
I'm going to find Schizopolis23, lives in the USA, at Schizopolis on Twitter. He says his Twitter bio is, I heart humanity but hate people. Yeah, fair.
Same.
So Schizopolis23 says, I heard this is the first buddy cop action comedy ever made. Wow, it's awesome. If you love 48 Hours, shout out Eddie Murphy, then this is a must-watch. Pineapple Express owes a lot to this movie. What? Oh.
Wow. What?
Okay. And he gave it 5 stars, and that goes on for a while. And this hilarious, politically incorrect buddy cop action comedy is actually a commentary on marriage. Ironically, the bullish and most bigoted character in the movie, Freebie, is the only one smart enough to resist being in a committed relationship. What an ending. Whoa. I love this movie. I can put it on, sit back, and enjoy it multiple times per year. 5 stars.
Who hurt you, Schizopolis? Jeez.
I looked at all 7 people who had in their top 4, and this is the easiest of the bunch. I don't know that you can get any of these. I think you probably can.
Okay.
Number 3 is Freebie and the Bean. Number 1 is a car movie that we have not covered, part of a franchise. And part of a franchise that is very close. It's not a Fast and Furious movie, but it's a franchise that, in a way, is very close to this podcast. Which is it's not a great hint. It's a good hint that's going to lead you down the wrong path, I think.
Is it a XXX movie?
No. I wouldn't call that a car movie.
Car movie that's related to this podcast. Is it like
again, related
franchise?
To the podcast, but not related to this franchise, if that makes sense. It's more too Fast and Forever than Fast and Furious. No.
Is it a Mission Impossible movie?
Mm-mm.
Gone in 60 Seconds?
No.
Give me another hint.
It's the second of 4. There were 3 movies that came out like in the 80s or around then, and then one that came out just a couple years ago.
Dukes of Hazzard?
No. And the one that came out a couple years ago is the reason why this franchise is close to this podcast.
I don't know. What is it? Tell me.
Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior.
Oh, god damn it. Okay. Well, that was really hard for you to try to get me to guess without being like...
And that's the easy one.
Okay, woof.
His second movie, Schizopolis' second movie. So his bio is, B-movies and exploitation movies are the cheap and authentic street food of film. Watch more of them. Which, yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, I get that.
His number 2 movie is the original version of a movie that was remade. I don't think the remake was good. I didn't see either of them. But it's a sports movie that's, again, probably kind of, I think, explicitly probably politically incorrect. From, like, the early 70s, I want to say? Or when is this from? 76.
And then it was remade when?
2005. And the remake starred Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, like...
Oh, wait, maybe it's not a football movie. It's a baseball movie. I always thought it was a football movie. It's a baseball movie.
Bad News Bears?
Mm-hmm.
Got that one. Good job.
And this fourth one is not at all related to these first 3. I don't know that I can get you to guess it. It came out like 5 years ago. It's a movie that I love.
Okay.
A sequel was made. The sequel was good, not great. This first movie is great. I'll just tell you who stars in it because I don't know how else to get you to guess it. It stars Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, and Josh Brolin.
No idea. What is it?
Sicario? Do you know Sicario?
Oh, I did. I think I watched it with Zach one night. Like we watched it at his house.
Sicario is great.
I didn't love it, but it was fun. Yeah.
Although our past guest, Garrett Smith, did not like it. He only gave it 3 stars, but I love it. So anyway. Yeah, Mad Max 2, The Bad News Bears, Freebie and the Bean, and Sicario. And that was the easiest of the 7. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah. Wolf.
You got one. You got one of the. I didn't think you were gonna, if I had to guess that you were going to get one of them, I would have guessed Mad Max. I think that Sicario was always going to be the longest shot, but Bad News
Yeah.
Bears. I guess just because like the Chicago Bears, I always thought it was a football movie. But
Yeah. No, it's a baseball movie.
all right, so Joe, next week our next episodes. Tuesday is your favorite time of the year, time of the lap. We are having
I'm so
another
excited.
because we had a bonus one. We had it re-air. We had a bonus of the bonus, but now this is our regularly scheduled "You Are My Lifespan" Chapter 6 with a very special guest.
Yes.
And then next Friday we've announced already on the relap recap. But as a reminder, we're doing the Steve McQueen movie "The Getaway" next Friday.
Oh, I'm so excited.
The 17th, which is 1972, another 70s car movie. We're very much looking forward to that. And then the Tuesday after that, we're going to start the next lap. We're going to talk about the Fast and the Furious with Nico and Kevo. So getting there, we're very, very close. Any other thoughts about Freebie and the Bean or anything before we
watch it without sound? Movies with the sound off. Shout out Mac Miller. There you go.
Like, I don't, you know what, like yakety sax, like the da 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 da. Like,
yeah, yakety sax.
That would almost like work for this entire movie, but like, you know, like there's the whole like Dark Side of the Moon and the Wizard of Oz. Like, I wonder if there's
Dark Side of the Rainbow. Yeah.
I wonder if there's like a soundtrack or like an album or an LP or something.
It's like carnival music. Yeah.
That like you could,
Justin,
like,
if you have an idea,
this.
what carnival music LP would you play against this movie?
I wonder, like, that would be actually a very kind of cool idea for a band, is to take like old movies, like in our case, movies, classic movies, whatever, that are problematic and like have dialogue that are like, ooh, like either movies that aren't great or like, no, actually no. Let me take that back. Not movies that aren't great. I want to do movies that people love, but they're just like, ooh, there's stuff in here that I don't want to hear. Like this movie. Like basically this movie.
Yep.
Write entire scores that just play over it. Like I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about how like I've seen that surf punk band, the surf band, play over Point Break. The Great White Caps did Point Break live, and I think that's great. Do it over Freebie and the Bean. Like it's weird to say like don't watch it with sound, but like don't watch it with sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFastTooForever, or at TooFastTooForever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Reminder to go vote at cageclub.me/bracket, and also check out our Patreon page at TooFastTooForever.com in just like 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks. Find out, or a week and a half actually, find out what our next 3 lap themes are going to be. So the dozen or so, 13 people over there who have supported us on Patreon, thank you all again very much. You're all going to know you have so much power. You have so much power. If you want to know too, TooFastTooForever.com. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And we'll see you next time right here on Too Fast, Too Forever. Peace out.
Peace out.
You anus
Peacers.